past, what exactly will happen in the future. So that means the future value, the forecasting, as you have also learned in must have learned with your regressions, your polynomial regressions, your classification, your clustering kind of examples in machine learning. So doing all these things, doing all these ML algorithms, what we are doing, we are just predicting for the future. So this is also coming, all this comes as the analytic task. And then finally at the top, your prescriptive, after doing all the predictive analytics, your diagnostic analytics, you as a business analyst, you will provide your prescriptions. You will actually tell the business unit, you will actually tell the industry what is the best to happen. So these are 4 stages that your analytics go in. So what exactly we'll do, this is all about just theory I wanted to share with you. Now, what next we are going to do is, as we are going to generate or write, we means me and you all right now. I'll start giving you an example of how your understanding of data can be done. So I'll not start from very basics. I'll actually rather start from an example. So I'll be having one of the pieces of data together. I have got some data set downloaded, so I'll be sharing it with you soon. So you can see that data set, and then we will just try to understand, and we'll just see the steps in which we just analyze that particular data set. And then finally, we move on to just find out whether prediction or whether we are able to predict something right now. So that is one example we'll be doing it today. So for that, what I'll be doing is I'll be working on a Jupyter Notebook. If you are having your Jupyter Notebook with you right now, you can work on that. In case you don't have Jupyter Notebook right now with you, you can go on to collab.research.google.com, and you can have an online version of a Jupyter Notebook coming before you. You can practice along with me, or in case you don't have systems along with you, or you are just listening to me on your mobiles and you cannot have your hands on, I can understand. So in that case, what I'll be doing is, once the session will end, whatever I'll write, whatever code I'll write in, I'll just share it with you. You can have that notebook with you, and you can later on practice. And you can do just kind of an analysis before we meet tomorrow, because everything that I'll be discussing tomorrow will be based upon whatever I am doing today. So that will be just a connected session we'll be doing it. So let's start. In fact, so before I start in, I will just share with you a data set that is student performance data set. So that is present on UCI. Its link is right now given. You can have this link with you. And this data set is basically doing what? This is the description right now given in. I'm just giving a few minutes in just order to describe this data, what it is. This is a description of 649 students. And this particular data set is having 33 attributes. So what do we mean by this 33 attributes? Attributes will be just like the columns in your Excel. And this is a CSV file. Will be down. I have already downloaded it. I'll just show you. So that CSV file is having 33 attributes, means 33 features your data is having. So now, and this data set is not having any missing values. In case it is having, so you will have to deal with that before. So your data must be cleaned. We will not be going for any cleaning task today. We will be assuming that your data is absolutely correct one that I have assumed, or Wahi data set, that's what I have just taken in. So you have to do what? You need to work upon this. A Portugal data set, students of some Portugal school. And this data set is having these 33 attributes together. Starting from the student's school, with he's a male or female, then his age, then the address, then the family size. Let me just describe the output, what exactly we wanted. Basically, this data set is asking us to just predict the performance of student. And we want to predict the performance of a student on the basis of whatever I am having right now. So when I'm just discussing all these features, so I will ask you or I will suggest you what can be done in. So just see the data set. So I'll not tell you what is to be done. So we will find out within given these data set, what exactly can we do in, right? So I'll not saying like it is a regression problem or it is a classification problem or what do we need to, should we do clustering over that. So we'll discuss once we actually analyze each and every column or attribute rather, we'll say that. So we'll say that your column of age is numeric. It is giving you the age of the students. Your address is just categorical column, which is having U or R, U for urban and R for rural. There's the family size of a student has been given. This is also a categorical column. This P stated, it's a parents cohabitation status, whether they are living together or they are not living together. Then mother's education, it's also a categorical column. So there are different categories. So whether mother is educated or not, whether she is primarily educated or the class, up to the class she has taken the education in. So that's one. Then the father's education, then mother's job, whether she is working housewife or she's a health worker or she's working for as a civil services or administrator. Then father's job, it is also a categorical column, and you will see that this is nominal one because this is a nominal column. Nominal, I'll just show you what the value is there, and we'll actually find out what is the difference between a nominal and categorical. Then the reason, there is a field reason, it is also a nominal one, and there are categories whether you have what was the reason to choose that particular school. That shows whether it was close to home and you chose due to the reputation or you had a preference to a particular course. Then who is your guardian, whether the mother or father or somebody else. Then what is the travel time that the particular student takes. Then what is the weekly study time of a particular student. Then the failures in the past, how many failures he is having. Then whether the student is having extra educational support as the students here go for the tuitions or something or for coaching. Then there is a family educational support, whether there is a family that supports the education or not. That is the column. Then paid, whether you are attending some extra paid classes for the courses of like math or Portuguese. Basically, this data is divided into two files. One data is for maths course, another one is for Portuguese course. Then whether the student is involved in extracurricular activities, then whether he has attended nursery school, whether he wants to take higher education or not. That is our column. Then whether the student is having an internet access at home, whether he's having some relationship with some another opposite sex. Then the quality of family relationships. What is the quality of family? You know how much deep you are going in order to get the information from the student. Once I'll share this data set, I will go beyond the first step. Whether you are having free time after the school, whether you are going out with friends, how many times, and then this is the DALC, then whether you are consuming alcohol, how much. There are 3 categories from 1 to 5. There are categories from 1 to 5, from very low to very high. Then you are having a health column that is giving you the current health status. Then there is the ordinal values from 1 to 5. Then absentees, whether you are how many absentees you are having in. And then finally, there are 3 columns, G1, G2, and G3. They are giving you the grades in a particular subject. If it is a maths course, then for the maths course, you will be having the grades, first 3 grades, first one, second grade, and the final grade you have achieved in a particular subject. So that 3 columns, you might observe that these are the outcomes of the student after appearing for the final evaluation in 3 exams, right? So if you have got this much data set, the first thing when we study about the data set is, it's not like what data you are having. It also can give you an insight of, if you are to do certain kind of analysis of a student's performance, what will be the attributes exactly on which you can work upon. You know, in how this data has been accessed. Data has been accessed after you have finalized the questions. So many of time you might have observed so that people throw about some questionnaires to the people just to share the data about themselves. But when the questions are formed in, a huge amount of time is taken in order to find out, because once the data has been taken in, you cannot spend the second time. You cannot share the same data to them, like give me this much data also. So once you are actually finished with just thinking about that, what should be the feature set? What should be the correct feature set? It might happen that some of the features might not be that much important. It might be that some of the features might be very much important in order to find out something. So the output for which you are accessing or extracting this data, that purpose will define actually which features are important and which are not exactly. So it will always the case that some of the features that you have extracted the data might not be needed, but you should not miss exactly any feature which actually can influence your output, right? So you might be working with me right now. So what exactly can we do with this? What exactly can we do? So this is a very simple kind of a data set. You can all observe that we are having all these features. We are having the answers to each and every attribute about a particular student, and we are also having its performance in that particular subject after all. So that means, can we actually find out, what will be the performance of a student if he is given, if he has this much information? So that means the final performance, that means the 3 columns which are actually giving you the final performance of a student. I can do what? I can just go to that particular extent where I can find out if a student is having this much information from 1 to 30th columns. Can I predict his performance in G1, G2, G3? That means, can I predict how many marks he can have in future in G1, G2, G3? So if in case I go for this, that will be a regression problem. Means I need to predict a new value, a numerical column. I have been given few students whose performance has been given in. I want to predict the performance of a new student if he comes to me. Even before he goes for examination, I should just tell that what should be the average amount of marks or average grades that student is going to take it. So in order to find out that performance, I will be needing these features. So what I can do here, either I can calculate the marks, I can predict the marks obtained in G1, G2, G3 or 1. In that case, it will be a regression problem. Otherwise, in case I can just convert this data set into, like can I have this information also, that whether the student has passed or failed? If I can, because that should be, like if I am having a grade G1, G2, G3 with me in maths, so I could know that whether the student has passed in maths or not. So that we know the criteria. So I can have my own criteria. Like if a student has got less than 40% marks, he might have failed. Or if he has got more than 40% marks, he might have just passed. So can I have some column added to it, which is describing that whether the student has passed or not? So in that case, if I create a new column in my data set, So my data set will be in a position where I can define the category of the students falling in either passed or either in failed categories. So what we can have is, in that case, if a student's data is given to me, I can predict whether the student will pass or not. If we can do that, that column will tell me that this is going to be a classification problem. So I can just classify the data. If a student's data is given to me, I can just classify whether I can predict whether the student is going to pass or not, given this much information of first 30 columns. So that is another thing that we can do it. So I'm going to start just starting with the analysis of this data, and as I go along, I will deal with some concepts that I'll be using in Python. So I'll be discussing about the libraries that I'll be using and some additional things about that library, because I cannot discuss the whole library in one go, as I'll be discussing. If I'm thinking of just seeing this data, getting it into Python in the form of a data frame. So I know that I'm going to use pandas library. So I'll be using pandas library, but I'm not going to show you complete details about pandas library. So I want to ask from you, I will be expecting a question from you at the last, like whether you are already aware of pandas library or not. Or once this session will end, you will hope so, will be in a position you will actually know the power of pandas. So let's start then. So let me check in till now if you have sent or said any or thrown any question. No. So is anybody having a question, or you want to say something before I start on the hands-on session? Are you prepared for that? Can I have a quick yes or no from your side?
Yes, sir, please go ahead.
Okay. So let me share another. This was data set. So what let me create a new Jupyter notebook. So as you can see, I've already downloaded the data set from that page. This is the data set. You can download it from this data folder. Once you will be just downloading it, it will be giving you a zip file. So that zip file will be containing these two CSV files. This is for maths, this is for Portuguese. So let me start working on. We name the Jupyter notebook first. So to start from, if I'm having a data in the form of CSV, you will have to see your CSV file is in which state. Normally we say that your CSV file is a comma separated file, but it might not be so. Your CSV file might be having a different separator as this file is having. So in case you just open this file, you will see that the data that is stored within the CSV file is separated with semicolons. So you will have to see, you need not jump onto this CSV file directly in order to open it. Assuming that it is containing commas as separators, you could just have a look at the CSV file. The first row is containing all the columns, and second row onwards, then you will be having some data associated with that, right? So first of all, the first step, gather the data. So I need to gather the data. I just start from pandas as PD, the usual way of reading that. And what I do in just name the file student performance. We see the name first. Studentmat.csv or studentpo.csv. Anything you can. Give the name and then specify the separator. Here it is semicolon. So if you just do it, you can have a look at your data set. So this is the power. Like in fact, you can see it's a very small kind of a data set. It was assuming to be like having 649, as it was saying 649 rows it was having. And even if it is having millions of rows, it's a text file. CSV, as you all know, it is a text file. You can open it in Excel. Otherwise, it doesn't need any Excel to just get it open. Sometimes you might have some data in pure Excel form. So you can use a read Excel function in order to read an Excel file. But as your data can be in any state. It can be in Excel, it can be in CSV. Your data can be in a JSON format. It might be a JSON data, or your file can be stored as a table in a database, or like you might be having MySQL, you might be having Mongoose, you might be having your SQLite data. So in that case, you will have to just have a connector for that particular database, and you can just get the data from that table directly into the form of a data frame. So data frame is the most powerful thing. It's not like a two-dimensional array. Definitely, it's a two-dimensional table of rows and columns where your data is just stored in, and all the columns, as you can observe, the first columns, again, all these columns can have a variety of data. They might be having some string data, might be having some character or Boolean or integer or float data. They all can have it. So before you start working on this data frame in order to analyze something, as you just can see that your final G1, G2, G3 grades are also there. So what I'll start with, I will create another column into this, right? And that will be pass column. So that pass column will be having one in case he has passed, or if a student is not getting less than, is not containing that requisite percentage, whatsoever we'll decide, of course, right now. So I'll be getting a new column, and you will see that how much easy or with how much power you can do that. So you can create a new column like this, pass. This is the way to access a column. So in case a column is already there you can pass on the column. It will be giving you the whole data present in that column. We'll do that column analysis, feature analysis also. But before we do the feature analysis, I'll just need to create a new column. So that is your pass column. And what I'll be doing it. See that this is what right now I'm going to do is, there is a function that is called as apply. There's an apply function that is already there within your data frame, and it will need a function first. And what that function can be, in Python we are having a powerful utility of function in the name of lambda functions. So lambda functions are nothing but like anonymous functions. You can create it before, or you can just create right there where you just made it. So what we want to do that, I want to read each row of this data frame and apply your function on each row, getting your G1, G2, G3 and summing them and finding out the percentage of G1, G2, G3 divided, or you just add all of the columns and make it like if the sum of every column is basically 35 or 40, whatsoever we do. So what we want to do is we want to apply the function on each row, and that will check the sum of G1, G2, G3 is less than 35 or greater than 35, and place a suitable value in the new column. So just that, for that, what I'll do is I'll create a lambda function right here. So that lambda function is just be given in two things. One, what is the argument? So argument will be the row in this case. So I can just say row, and what I want to do for this particular row. So this row will be a particular series. A series is also a kind of element in pandas, as we say that pandas has a data frames. It's a two-dimensional data. Pandas has series, which is one-dimensional array. So this row is actually a one-dimensional array, which we call it as a series. So that particular row, for that, what I'll do is this lambda will be taking in each row and will return one if what? If you just say a row of your G1 plus row of G2 plus row of G3. If suppose the sum is greater than equal to 35. If it is, then it will be 1, else it will be 0. That's it. And one last thing, this apply would be having in. You want to do it, you want to apply this function on each row and you want to create a column. So you will have to specify an access column. So access column is either 1 or 0. So this 1 will be for a column that you are going to create. So just press 1 and just apply this and you will see that you have created a new column. So see that if you say d.head again, d.head is just, it just shows you the first 5 rows as an example. If you just say D, it will give you all. So as you see that you now have 34 columns and this pass column has also been added. So it is having 0 in case the score is less than 35. In this case, it is greater than 35, it is 1 and all other columns. We can just can see this data set right now is having pass, and if you just enter, you will see all the values of 649 rows. And in fact, what you can do is you can just have a very powerful function that is value counts, and it will give you a brief description of this particular column. Now, value counts can be applied on each column. You can have it. We'll discuss one of the columns and we'll see this value counts will actually describe you in just a few seconds. You know that 328 students have just passed and 321, they have just failed, right? The total 649 columns. The result is like this. It's a 50-50 kind of a thing, right? So you can change the condition to 40. So this figure might change right now. But you have right now classified your whole data into 2 categories, whether the students have passed or whether the student has failed, right? Now we don't need G1 and G2 and G1, G2, G3. So you can do what? You can just drop the data. So you can have the same data after dropping your column sets. What are the columns you want to drop? So it's G1, it's G2, and it's G3. And once you apply, again, you are putting operations over your columns. So you give access is equal to 1 and the columns will be dropped. Now you just go on to find out. There is an info function. You just can have an information about the whole data frame. You will see that now that how many columns are left? There are 31 columns which are left in. So you are having a pass column added, G1, G2, G3 just gone in. Now this is a new thing that you have created. Now, once you are having a data frame, you can, your CSV file is intact. There isn't any change that has been made to CSV file. That is intact right now, also containing G1, G2, G3. But if you have just after doing some operations, you want a new CSV file to be generated and you can just do it. In fact, this data frame is so powerful that you just can create an Excel file, out.stu.xlsx file. If you just do it, d.toExcel. This is a function, simple. You just specify and just see this. Now the Excel file has been generated, and you can observe that Excel file has been created in this folder. You can open it in Excel. If you just click it right here, might not be open because Excel is not having any extension just added to this Jupyter notebook. CSV file can directly be done, but in case you want to go for this particular file and want to open it, you just can go for that particular directory where it is. It is in Python and it is in FDP folder. You just can have an Excel file and you just can double click and see this Excel file has been generated. A truly beautiful Excel file is there, and which is containing this pass call. So this is the power of Pandas library, and not only this, we will see many others. Now, let me go back to this. Yeah, close this. Coming back to your Jupyter. Now, similarly, as you have done value counts method, value counts can give you a brief summary of each and every column. So you just find out like if there is a column like mjob, you can have value counts, and you will see that this is mjob as describing the job nature of the mother of the child. So you see that 136 mothers, they are doing some public services, 135 are the housewives, 72 are teachers, 48 are health workers, and there are 22 under 58 other kind of things. So this is giving you a summary of. So you will have to analyze each and every column in order to have a descriptive statistics, right? And now we are at a particular stage where we can just start a job, but what? I show you this data set. This is in this form. Now you can observe that few of the columns are numerical and a few of the columns which are having some text data, which are categorical data, but they are not numericals. You know, in order to analyze or to do any kind of analytical modeling, even if you are trying to create a regression model, you are going to generate a classification model, or you want to try any kind of descriptive statistics, you need to have what? You need to have the columns in numerical form. That is basic fundamental. Every column should be in the form of numericals. But in case you don't have, as in this case, many of the times you will be observing that your columns are not in numerical shapes or not in correct shapes. So you need to convert those columns which are in categorical form, you need to convert them in just numerical form. So there are two ways in it. Let me show you one example. One of the example, in one way, what you can do is if you just observe this, you will see that all these columns, they are objects, wherever this D type has been written as objects, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there's